Okay, today we are going to start a new chapter, new section, all about business models, different types of businesses. Well, certainly this first lesson is. And we're going to look at three businesses today. The first is called a sole proprietorship. This is when one person is the owner of a business. I've been given the same examples all semester because that's all I got, right? I can only teach what I know. But I do have a great buddy named Asa who has his own air conditioning business. I've known this was a tough business to get off the ground, folks. When we start talking about disadvantages, we're going to bring this back up because he had to raise all the money for everything by himself. How do you do that? Right? You take business loans. Now you're going to have to go to the bank and say, hey bank, will you give me a loan? This is hard, right? Who are you to get a loan? How do I trust your business when you could just file for bankruptcy and that would you would lose liability. The bank could lose money. So when we're talking about sole proprietorship, one of the challenges is that for certain businesses, it's difficult to get started, to get that money to get started. We know what they say, it takes money to make money. But then for other businesses, right, I had a student who was a TikToker, Musically, I don't know, had millions of followers, makes money off of it. That's a pretty simple one, right? You're just hanging out in your room, you're filming stuff. My other buddy who started a clothing company for children, I thought was brilliant. It didn't get off the ground. Again, though, super simple. You're just talking about making a few products and going and selling them. These aren't incredibly, there are certain small businesses that being a sole proprietor is great for. I mean, there's a guy who I really love who sells corn and comes down my street. I always get the corn. It's delicious. That's a business. My buddy across the street, Frank, he has a business where he does jump parties. He has the jumpers for the parties, and he has a taco stand. And, he's successful. He's always busy, and he had very, what do you invest in? He had to buy the truck, he had to buy the jumpers, and then the stuff for the taco stand. He keeps in the backyard, right? So on a sole proprietorship, it's probably easy for smaller businesses and maybe a great model. But for a bigger business where there's more overhead and startup costs, this can be really challenging. You're going to want to know advantages and disadvantages of these business models. It's easy to start up a sole proprietorship. You make all the decisions. That's an advantage as well. You also make all the profits. If your business hits, you're the one who keeps the money. That's great. We then know we're gonna, and the book mentions like, the psychological satisfaction. Yeah, I can imagine, right? If you're your own boss, that's kind of the dream, isn't it? I've never been my own boss. I've always had my own bosses, and well, I have a great boss right now, but haven't always, and that's a challenge. But there are disadvantages. First off, if you invest a lot of money into your company, like my buddy Asa did, and your company goes belly up, it fails, which his didn't, you lose all your money. That's harsh. Even my friend, Rory, who his wife was doing that Ratitude clothing thing. I mean, they spent a few $100 making a few dozen shirts they would bring around and sell, and he lost it. My uncle actually at one point, his wife made a hot sauce, which was delicious, carrot based, really interesting flavor, unique. Didn't go anywhere, but I remember helping him, carry the boxes, to try and help him out. they lost every penny that they put into it. Um, Also, one of the disadvantages is that it's hard to get the money to get started in this business. Who's going to loan you money when you have no name and no past? I mean, you're basically going to have to raise the money yourself, which is tough, you know. And the book mentions things like it's hard to get employees, good employees, because your best employees are going to go with a more reliable job. It's oftentimes unreliable. Also, things like lack of managerial experience. My buddy Asa, look, he had a problem with taxes one year, really at the beginning of his business. He did his taxes wrong. He didn't hire a proper tax person, and he ended up owing a lot of money, which I believe he still owes. He's paying it back slowly to the IRS. So, yeah, lack of experience and things like managerial parts of the job can also be a negative. So, sole proprietorships, individually owned businesses, the American dream, or maybe the American nightmare. You decide.